Hi everyone. So this is Ralph. Ralph, thank you for being with me today. Amen.
You're welcome.
We know that you've been saved. You're in Victory Outreach South Bay, but you've actually lived a life of gang violence. But not only a gang violence anywhere, but in the city of Wilmington. Maybe you can take me a little bit about what that is. What year, were you part of the gangs in Wilmington, and maybe explain a little bit what lifestyle like that looked like.
Well, the year was 1988 summer of 1988 when I got jumped into this gang, and I got jumped in because gang banging was a thing to do in the city of Wilmington, and everybody around me was gang banging. Everybody I grew up with was doing it, and so you know, growing up in the barrio, I'm like I'm gonna be from this gang too, and slowly but surely things started escalating. Homeboys started getting shot. Homeboys were going to prison, in and out of prison. Um, Homeboys were getting hooked on drugs, including myself. Um, I ended up going to prison myself 3 times, for the gang. Um, Back then in the late 80s, early 90s, it was no joke. Like I said, gang banging was a thing to do, and you know, you had to do what you had to do, to survive, to prove yourself, to prove that you were down, um, because you know, being a part of a gang, you got to do what you got to do, man.
So, as a gang member, when you say you gotta do what you gotta do, what was mainly the main reason why you joined the gang in the first place?
Well, I joined the gang because I wanted to be a part of something that everybody was doing at the time. Um, all my friends were joining the gang. I had cousins that were from the gang, and so I wanted to be from the gang too. So I joined the gang. I got jumped in. I was about 15 years old.
Wow. So, at 15 years old, you wanted to be a part of something. So, you say, why not jump the gang? Why not get. So, the process, maybe you can share what is the process of initiation for a gang member?
Well, as for me, I grew up in the barrio, right? So I already knew everybody, and everybody knew me. To this day, everybody still knows me, um, and everybody knows that I'm saved. But back then, growing up, going to school, junior high school, I went to Banning. I dropped out in the 10th grade because every time I went to school, all I did was fight. We just went to school to fight with the guys from the other side of town, and but for me, I grew up in Nevada, so I knew everybody, and everybody knew me. Plus, I had older cousins that were from this neighborhood, and it just happened. I didn't have to like prospect, or like they say, or I didn't have to hang around with nobody and prove myself to nobody because I already knew everybody.
Hmm. So, you didn't have to go through like the getting jumped in
No,
or
I got
any.
jumped in.
Oh, you
Oh,
got jumped in.
yeah,
Okay.
I got jumped in. Like you had to get jumped
So
in.
even if you knew people, you still
You,
had
you
to.
had yeah,
That was the initiation
you
process.
still had to get jumped in, and then you know
Or maybe can you explain maybe to those that don't know what is jumped in? What is that?
Well, it's you want to join the gang, right? So you go and you talk to whoever you need to talk to, and so they get a little crew, together, 3 or 4 heads, maybe 5, depending on how big you are or whatever, or how down you think you are, and they jump you. Go to the park and they jump you for 13 seconds, 13 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, depending on how. If you're fighting back and you're getting on them and they keep on coming, you're gonna get jumped in, and they're gonna jump you until, as long as they feel like that's enough. Until maybe you're on the floor, or until somebody's bleeding. So that's how it is.
So basically, you getting hit by a bunch of
Yeah,
guys
to prove that you're down,
until you can't fight no more
until you can't fight no more, pretty much.
to see what you're made of.
Yeah,
Wow. So this is at 15 years old
yeah,
when this
about
happened.
yeah. Well, it was summer of '88. So I was probably about just turning 14.
Wow.
Yeah,
At such a young age, and you wanted to feel part of something,
yeah,
and this is what was in, right?
yeah, and I was already hanging out with the homies like since elementary school, since like third grade, second grade, and all that, you know.
So it's like what I noticed in Wilmington is that there's a big pride for the city. As little as the city is,
Yeah,
there's a huge
very big pride.
there's a huge pride of being part of the city Wilmington. I think, right, you even have tattoos that say Wilmington,
Yeah,
right? And so it's like you want it to be known.
it's like our trophy, you know. It's like our trophy, and you gotta earn that badge. You know, you can't just get it tattooed on you and walk around like you're somebody. You got, you know, back when I was growing up, if you got the auto tattooed on you, they run a make on it. And how did you do it? You know, like, did you earn? You had to earn it.
Mm,
It's like a badge, you know, like we wear like trophies,
wow.
you know, and wherever um, wherever you can put it and it's noticeable, the better. You know, if you can put it on your neck, on your hand, or anywhere, like, you know, the better. You know, that you want people to know where you're from, and that you're down for yours. You know what I mean? You're down for the barrio. You know.
Wow. Can you share maybe, obviously, maybe not your own personal, but things that you might have witnessed, either were there gang members, from in the city or away from the city, that you noticed things, what are some of the experiences that you noticed that gang members would do, gang like activities?
Um, I mean, like activities, like,
Like as far as types of gang violence that you witness.
oh man, we've been shot at, chased, jumped. I mean, I got my leg broken with a baseball bat. Um,
Wow.
they, I got my leg broken with a baseball bat due to, like, because, you know, we were we were jumping this guy, and his homeboys came, and one of them had a baseball bat, and I turned around and I seen him coming, but my homeboy pushed him, and he came, and he was coming for my head, and my homeboy said, "Watch out!" And I turned around and I found he was coming, but he was coming for my head. But when
Wow.
he swung, he hit me in the leg, and that was it, you know. And he broke my leg. I mean, I had a cast for like 2.5 months because of that, you know. So that happened. So of course, that's not gonna go like that's not just gonna go like that. So now the homeboys start prodding and they go back, you know, for that, you know.
For revenge.
They broke the homie's leg, you know, he's in the hospital, you know, this and that. So they go back, you know. And that's just the way it was, you know. Any little thing, like I remember some dudes came down, flying down Wilmington Boulevard, and they threw a screwdriver and hit my homeboy in the face, and just because of that, it's a wrap, you know. Big old war, you know. Like, it's a wrap. Nobody could come down here and do anything like that, you know. And I remember one time I pulled up at a gas station, and there was this dude that I didn't know, and he was like an out of towner, but all he was doing was pumping gas, and it was me and my homeboy. And I go, "Who is this fool?" So I jump out on him and I start bombing on him, you know? Bam, 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 bam. And he went back in his car, and I go, "That's right, get out of here. You know where you're at." And I thought he was gonna take off, but he comes back. And when he comes back, I said, "What's up?" I said, "You want some more?" And he pulls out a screwdriver and he hits me in the head, but I thought he hit me. But he punctured my brain. He punctured my head with the screwdriver.
Wow.
And then, you know, like I said, I thought he hit me, but he didn't. He stabbed me. And when I felt the blood like this, my homeboy said, "Man, he just," and then he was coming again. He was coming again, and I seen him coming for the second time, and I went like that, and he stuck me right here, and he left the screwdriver on my arm. So I literally had to pull the screwdriver out.
Wow.
He left it like this, like dangling. I literally had to pull it out. When I pulled it out, it was leaking. But by then, my homeboy came with the club. I don't know if you guys remember the clubs that you would lock your steering wheels with.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Those clubs.
Yeah.
He came with the club and hit that dude in the head, bah, and laid him out. And then we jumped in the car and we took off. But I was in the car bleeding, and he was like, "We gotta take you to the hospital, homeboy." And I was like, "Man, nah, forget that. Just," I was like, nah, man, give me a beer, man. Let's go to the store and get a beer. And he's like, nah, bro, like you're leaking, like you're all, I'm all bloody. And I took out my shirt and I just tied it like a bandana.
Yeah.
But I can feel it like gushing, and I ended up going to the hospital. And they put 12 staples right here, and then right here they sewed me up, and then the doctor was telling me what happened. I said, oh no, man, somebody tried to rob me at the liquor store, man. It ain't no big thing. So he's like, what? I go, yeah, nah, ain't no big thing. And then I could hear him talking to the other doctor saying, PD's on his way. So when they said PD's on his way, I took off running out of the hospital.
Wow. You want to avoid the
I was like, I'm gone. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's one of the things I like, and there's whole lot more, but you know.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for sharing. Just your own personal experience. I think that's pretty heavy. I mean, I think you guys, gang members, people don't see the lifestyle. You guys lived a life, I think, of fear, right, and watching your back
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
and
time.
especially when you have it tattooed on you and it's really noticeable. Like you gotta stay within your circle. You know, I remember one time I went somewhere. I remember I went somewhere and then some it was a girl and a guy, and they're like, "What's up with that on your hand?" And I'm like, I'm on a whole different trip. I'm already a little bit older. You know, I have my son already and all that. But you know, I still wear the bald head and all that. And I remember I was in line ready to pay somewhere. I was like at a super Kmart. I don't know where I was, but somebody approached me and they're like, "Hey, what's up with that on your hand?" And I'm like, "Huh? What?" Yeah. And I was like, and then they're like, "Yeah, that. What's up with that?" I go, "This is my bottle." He goes, "Oh, hey, man. Oh, man. You're this and that." And then they were like, "Oh, you know your homeboy so and so. I just got out this and that." And he was with his girl, but I thought it was trouble, you know. So like
Yeah.
that happened a lot to me, you know.
So you didn't know what you were gonna
Like
get.
I was like,
Yeah.
man, like you know, I was like, oh man, like oh oh.
Oh, I'm from a gang. Yeah.
Yeah, like but I was already a little bit older already. Like I
Yeah.
said, my son was about 5 years old at the time. You know, I think I went over there to go buy him something or something. I don't know. And I remember that at the time I was doing okay. You know, I was doing okay, but like you can't like go like you can't
Yeah.
and take them off. You know, they're there and they're there. That's it. You know, so
Yeah.
that's one thing. You know.
And maybe so you've shared kind of how you went through the violence and you went through the gang and jumping in at a young age and older now with a son. But when was like maybe a turning point? Like how were you able to to know about God? How can you be saved today?
Well, my mom prayed for me for many years. You know, after my dad died in '97, I was 22. My dad was 49, and after he died in 1997, I really just lost it. My life really went downhill like a spiral, like really, really, really downhill. I ended up in prison. I got out and ended up in prison again. And anyways, so my my life really, when my dad died, I didn't want to be alone. I just didn't want to be alone. Um, any company was good company, you know, like come on over, come kick it. Plus, I had my own room in the back. Like my room was way in the back, so I had all the privacy I wanted. You know, I can do whatever I want back there. And even my son's mom, my girlfriend at the time, like I wouldn't want her to leave. You know, like don't leave. And I gotta go to work. You know, I gotta go do this. I gotta go take care of this, and I gotta do that. But like, don't leave. You know, and she'd be like, nah. She would leave, and I'll stay by myself, and I'll just start bouncing off the walls, and I'll just start getting high and getting drunk, and I'll leave, and it was a really, really rough time for me. Well, that around that time is when I really, really got hooked on drugs, and I really got hooked on alcohol, and and it went on for years and years and years until one day I got sick. I got really sick, you know, because I wouldn't eat. All I would do was drink King Cobra and malt liquor and smoke meth. You know, that's all I would do for days until um, I remember one time one of my homeboys, he went to Tijuana and he brought me back a big jug of Jose Cuervo like that. And I remember I was all tweaked out and that's all I kept doing was smoking smoking meth and drinking, taking shots of that, smoking meth, drinking shots of that. And I drank that thing like in a day and a half. And I remember um, I started feeling really sick, really, really sick. My eyes turned yellow, my feet swelled up, my fingers were like little sausages, you know. I thought I was having a real bad hangover, but it wasn't. It was my liver. My liver was failing, you know.
Wow.
My liver was failing. My liver swelled up, and I remember I was like seeing blurry and stuff, and I felt like if I went to sleep, I wasn't gonna wake up. And I remember like I couldn't hold down nothing, water, nothing. I couldn't eat nothing. Everything was coming out, and I was still trying to drink, like you know, still trying to take a hit, and until finally I just felt so sick. And I remember I told an ex-girlfriend of mine, I said, you know what, I'm not gonna make it, you know. I need to go to the hospital. If not, I'm gonna die. And she said, don't talk like that. And I go, man, you know what? I feel like if I go to sleep, I'm not gonna wake up. So I remember I made a phone call because at the time I had a car, but I had a car at the time, but I would rather get high. I'd rather spend my money on drink or on dope, and I wouldn't put gas in my car, so I would always get stranded, you know.
Wow.
And I'll leave it parked somewhere, you know. So man, that's the life I used to live. And then so I ended up making a phone call to my mom, and she gave me a ride to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, they told me, you know why your eyes are so yellow? And I said, no. He goes, why? You know why your fingers are swollen? I said, no. He said, because your liver's malfunctioning. I'm like, what? So he's like, yeah. So anyways, I was in the hospital for like 8 or 9 days with a swollen liver, and it wouldn't go down. It wouldn't go down. And the doctor, I remember the doctor telling me, he goes, if you want to live, you got to stop doing what you're doing. If you want to live, you got to stop doing what you're doing, because I've been doing this for 30 plus years. And he goes, I have sent guys home, guys just like you. I have sent them home with nothing I could do for them, you know. He goes, you're lucky. But I remember when I was like, this was before he discharged me, but I remember when I was in the hospital, I had tubes everywhere and I had like oxygen and all that. I started crying out to the Lord, you know. I started crying out to the Lord, and I was like, man, Lord, I can't go out like this. I just can't die like this, you know. So plus I had a mom that was praying for me. So that's what happened. But then after I got out of the hospital, I stayed clean for like 30 days or so, and I relapsed. I started getting high again. I started drinking again, and I started feeling sick again. So that's when I was like, man, I'm gonna die. I remember the doctor saying that if you want to live, stop doing what you're doing. And here I am doing it again, you know. So I'm like, man, this time I'm gonna die, you know. So somebody told me about like the GR office in Compton. Go over there and see what they could help you out with. Maybe they can help you with something or whatever. So I ended up going out there, and when I went out there, there was a guy that was in the men's home. He was evangelizing inside the GR office, handing out flyers, right? So he was telling people about Jesus, and he was telling me, hey, if you know anybody that has a problem with drugs or alcohol, tell them to call them. So I seen him, I go, hey, come here. And I told him, hey, let me get one of those, what's up, this and that. I started talking to him, he started talking to me back. And he goes, why, do you know somebody that has a problem with drugs or alcohol? I go, yeah, me. He goes, oh man, well, call this number, you know. And I called the number, and that's how I ended up coming to Victory Outreach.
Wow. And who was this guy that told you?
They called him Panda. I don't know if you remember him, Panda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was in there, man, and he was getting it too, man. And God used him to reach me, you know. So, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And after that, you went in the home, and
I
your
went
life
into the
was
home. When
changed.
I called the number, after that, I left the GR office and I went back because I was staying in the hotel right not too far from here. And it's funny because I used to hang out at this hotel tough. Like the lady knew me already and everything. She already had my room on lock and everything. Like I'll be like, hey, I'll be back. Don't give my room to nobody. And I'll be back with some money to get the room again, this and that. And I went back to the room and I charged my phone, I remember. And I called the number and then Brother Ray answered. Brother Ray answered the phone. He told me to come on in. So I came in and that's it. And I met Brother Steve. And then after I met Brother Steve, it turned out Brother Steve is married to my homegirl Raina that I know for many years. We grew up in the same barrio, you know. And she's like, "What's up, Ralph?" I turned around and said, "What's up, homegirl?" And she's like, "What you doing here?" I said, "I came over here to get my life straight." Just like that, I was taught because I was so early still, you know.
Yeah, so
You know, like I was still like fresh from the world, like you know.
you ran into another Wilmera.
Yeah.
And your staff was a Wilmero.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's when I knew it was meant to be. You know, I was like, man, this is where I belong. And man, and I stayed. You know, and I stayed.
Wow.
And that's where I fell in love with the Lord. I fell in love with His presence, and that's where I felt the power of God moving in my life. You know,
That's
it took a minute because I remember it took a minute because like I remember for the first 3 months, like my family was just watching me, easy, like wait for it. So I didn't have nothing coming. Like I was wearing everything from the hand me down, from the bless me pile, you know, shoes, tie, everything, you know. And then after about 3 months, and they saw that I was serious, you know, that I'm staying. So then they started bringing me my clothes, all my stuff, you know, my little cologne and all.
Nice. So how long has it been since you've been saved?
It's going on 5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It hasn't been easy, but I'm still here, you know. And it's
Amen.
you know, this fight is a good fight.
Amen.
You know? It's a good fight, you know.
And you fought for so many years out in
Yeah.
the streets, so now.
You know, and that's why being Christian is, well, it's a beautiful thing to me, you know, because it's a beautiful thing because, you know, the way I used to look at my homeboys in the world, I mean, me, the way I used to look at my homeboys in the world, because I have some homeboys that were like ride or die. You know what I mean? Like, shh, what's up, homie? Let's do this, you know? And now with my church family, I'm like that with them. Like, what's up, man? Let's do it. I'm down. Let's do it. Like, don't ask me to do something because we're gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna tell you that I'm gonna do it and I don't do it because that's not the way I get down. You know what I mean? And that's what the streets taught me. You know, from being in the barrio, that's what that taught me. So I bring that over here, and it just works out so beautifully. You know what I mean? It's awesome. You know?
I believe it's a sense of family that this ministry brings that's kept you.
Oh my God, absolutely. Like I say it before, and I'll say it again. Like I said it before, and I'll say it again. Like when Pastor says it behind the pulpit, like we're family. Like we're family. Like I take that. It hits me right here, amen. Like if you can cut me open and open this up and see my heart, you'll see that it's real. You know that I'm just Ralph. You know, I ain't nobody. Like I don't pretend to be somebody that I'm not. I don't try to act like somebody that I'm not. Like what you see is what you get. You know, with me. You know what I mean? Like just I just like to keep it real. You know. You know, that's just the way it is, you know, with me, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome, Ralph. Well, thank you so much for being open and sharing about, you know, the streets in Wilmington, for being able to share your testimony on what God has done. And I do believe, you know, we will see many people from Wilmington saved, you know.
Amen.
And it took you to see someone's testimony to be saved. And I know someone, when they see your testimony, they'll be saved.
Amen.
Thank you.